The truth is, I always trust my instincts. My instinct told me it's time.
Well, that's it. The Ellen DeGeneres Show is finally over after almost 20 years of runtime. She was one of the first gay people to ever break into daytime television, and the Ellen DeGeneres Show, or simply Ellen, became a massively successful program that carried her from a sitcom host to full-blown A-list celebrity. Her talk show ended after several people who worked on the set claimed she was an incredibly toxic and egotistical person to be around. She began being accused of basically being a horrible boss, and after a tearful video apology, people began seeing Ellen in a new light. So while not ending in the best way possible, the show did do wonders as a trailblazer for the gay community. Today we're covering Ellen DeGeneres. Tomorrow though, you decide. Let us know in the comments down below who you think we should cover on the next few episodes of Where Are They Now. Like this video so we know you enjoy it, and we can keep making more content just like it. Now let's get into it. Ellen was born in Louisiana with her brother Vance. After her parents got divorced, her mother remarried and moved to Texas. While Vance stayed with his father back in Louisiana, Ellen went to live with her mother and stepfather. She's opened up later in life about the harm that she faced from her stepfather, who did some unspeakable things to the young girl. Eventually, however, she did get to leave Texas and go to university in New Orleans and majored in communication studies. After one semester, however, she dropped out of university and did some clerical work with her cousin while working at JCPenney and waitressing at TGI Fridays. She also did small jobs painting houses and bartending. She also started to discover a passion for stand-up comedy and began regularly performing at comedy clubs and small coffee houses. By 1981, she was an MC at a comedy club in New Orleans. She kind of instantly became a hit too, because only 3 years later she began touring nationally and was named Showtime's funniest person in America. By the late 1980s, Ellen began branching into a film career. She starred in a series of films for a show called Ellen's Energy Adventure, which was part of the Universe of Energy attraction at Disney's Epcot. But really, Ellen made a name for herself in television. She began in 1989 for a short-lived Fox sitcom called Open House. The series was cancelled after only 4 episodes, but the producers were so impressed with Ellen's performance that they soon cast her in their next ABC pilot called These Friends of Mine. It was later renamed Ellen and became a massive hit, with people referring to it as Female Seinfeld. The show reached its height in popularity in 1997 after Ellen officially came out as a lesbian on The Oprah Winfrey Show. Her character on the sitcom also came out to her therapist, who was also played by Oprah Winfrey at the time. The episode was one of the highest rated in the show's entire run. That being said, her coming out was massively controversial at the time. The media basically exploded when they found out, and it left Ellen feeling really depressed because now, instead of being known as a great comic on her own, she's now the lesbian comic. Everyone began labeling her for her sexuality. While DeGeneres' mom was initially shocked, she eventually came around to being one of the talk show host's biggest supporters. She joined PFLAG, an organization aimed to help LGBT families in the US, and she also became a spokesperson for the Human Rights Campaign's Coming Out project. After a few years though, Ellen got cancelled after failing ratings. Not like cancelled online, but that would only lead to bigger and better things. In 2003, Ellen launched a daytime television talk show, The Ellen DeGeneres Show. One of several celebrity-hosted talk shows surfaced at the beginning of that season, including those of Sharon Osbourne and Rita Rudner. Her show has consistently risen in the Nielsen ratings and received widespread critical praise. It was nominated for 11 Daytime Emmy Awards in its first season alone, winning 4, including Best Talk Show. The show won 25 Emmy Awards for its first 3 seasons on the air. DeGeneres is known for her dancing and singing with the audience at the beginning of the show and during commercial breaks. She often gives away free prizes and trips to be in her show's studio audience with the help of her sponsors. It became a mainstay on television, to say the least, much like The Oprah Winfrey Show. Even when Ellen was placed on bed rest in 2007 after she tore a ligament in her back, she continued hosting from a hospital bed, and funnily enough, the guests got to stay in a hospital bed as well. In 2006, Ellen made a surprise appearance at a commencement speech in New Orleans. Ellen appeared in a bathrobe and fuzzy slippers, saying, quote, "They told me everyone would be wearing robes." On May 1st, 2009, Ellen celebrated her 1,000th episode with celebrity guests such as Oprah Winfrey, Justin Timberlake, and Paris Hilton, among a few others. The series became massively popular for the years it aired, and I mean, it did air for 19 years. But in 2018, the New York Times profiled DeGeneres and said that she was faced with the decision of renewing her talk show contract and was exploring other outlets of creativity. They noted that she sometimes felt boxed in with the reputation of always being nice and the host who danced all the time. So for a few years before it was officially announced, Ellen had considered ceasing the show. But despite her reputation of always being kind and happy and easy to get along with, some rumors began circulating in 2018 by a tabloid saying that she was rude to her workers. She quickly squashed the rumors at the time, saying that they were false. Quote, "The one thing I want is for everyone to be happy and proud of where they work, and if not, don't work here." But fast forward 2 years later, in 2020, BuzzFeed News of all places began running articles in which anonymous former employees accused the show of being a toxic workplace. They also accused the executive producers of aggression and hostility, and alleged that the atmosphere of the office was tense with racist comments and microaggressions. Warner Media began an investigation, and Ellen basically immediately apologized to her staff with a memo. She wrote to them that she intended for her show to be a place where, quote, "no one would ever raise their voice and everyone would be treated with respect. I am disappointed to learn that this has not been the case." Following the investigation, 3 executives left and the show vowed to take steps to change the culture. Twitter was obviously, as it is, really upset, however, and launched a campaign to replace Ellen. Other celebrities came to her defense though, including Ashton Kutcher and Jay Leno. In her first episode back after the scandal, she made good on her promise to talk about the misconduct allegations. In her monologue, she said, quote, "As you may have heard this summer, there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show, and then there was an investigation. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected. I know that I'm in a position of privilege and power, and I realize that with that comes responsibility, and I take responsibility for what happens at my show." Controversy has continued to loom over the Emmy-winning show after a viral Twitter thread by Kevin T. Porter. The comedian solicited negative experiences related to the series and its host, whom he accused of being, quote, "notoriously one of the meanest people alive." But Ellen continued with, quote, "There were also articles in the press and on social media that said that I am not who I appear to be on TV because I am known as the Be Kind lady. And here's how that happened. I started saying, 'Be kind to one another' to close the show after a young man named Tyler Clementi took his own life after being bullied for being gay. Being known as the Be Kind lady is a tricky position to be in. The truth is, I am that person as you see on TV. I'm also a lot of other things. Sometimes I get sad, sometimes I get mad, I get anxious, I get frustrated, I get impatient, and I'm working on all of that, and I'm a work in progress, and I'm especially working on the impatience thing, and it's not going well. It's not happening fast enough." Although the season continued to air, Ellen announced that her 18th season would be her last. And her last it was, as she said goodbye very recently in tears but with gratitude. Weirdly, there wasn't much of a grand display, however. When Oprah ended her show in 2011, over 16.4 million people tuned in. Ellen's goodbye got kind of normal ratings for the show. She ended the episode with the quote, "If I've done anything in the past 19 years, I hope I've inspired you to be yourself, your true authentic self. And if someone is brave enough to tell you who they are, be brave enough to support them even if you don't understand. By opening your heart and your mind, you're going to be that much more compassionate, and compassion is what makes the world a better place." DeGeneres ended the show by walking over to a couch with a TV set in front of it, harkening back to how she opened her first episode. She tearfully looked back at her audience before settling into the couch and turning the TV off. So how do you feel about the ending of the Ellen DeGeneres Show? Let us know in the comments down below. While you're down there, be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can stay updated when we post our next video. I've been your host, Sierra. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Where Are They Now? See you next time.